What's going on, everybody? Exceptional game here, back with another good one. This is Exceptionally Animated, the show where we invite different voice actors and animators in the industry on the show and highlight their amazing work. This time, we got a personal close friend of mine. Please welcome the amazing Ashley Christo.
Woo! Hi, everybody.
So, thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is so great. I'm so proud of you and excited for this new venture you have.
I know, I'm pretty excited too. I've got a great roster of guests. Of course, I can't announce that yet, so
Okay. Secret, secret. I won't say anything.
anyway, I got a special guest with me right now.
Ah! My girl!
So,
Hi. I miss her so much.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, she's so sweet.
if Nickelodeon is watching this, you need to bring the show back.
Yeah, come on. Season two. Let's go.
Yes.
Season two.
So, we will get to this when we get to this. So, what was one of your first voiceover jobs you've ever done?
Okay, my very, very first voiceover job was for Marvel, Avengers Assemble.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, that's the first voiceover job that I booked. I had, auditions before that leading up to it, but yeah, the first job I booked was for Marvel Avengers Assemble, and that was really exciting because the movie Black Panther was coming out at the time. So this was Marvel Avengers Assemble Black Panther's Quest was the show I booked. Avengers Assemble follows different storylines each season, and this time they were following Black Panther's story, and it actually coincided with the movie that was coming out, with Michael B. Jordan, directed by Ryan Coogler. So when I booked that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I'm like a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it was so exciting too because to be completely transparent, I was not a person who was like into comics growing up. Like I was not familiar with, all of the different characters and stuff. And so I wasn't sure about who Black Panther was or his story. And so once I booked it, I immediately was like, oh my God, I need to know everything about, Black Panther. And so I was asking around, asking friends. I even went to the library and checked out my very first comic. Black Panther, and I was like, "This is it. This is my introduction to, Black Panther's story." And I, quickly was like, "Oh my God, this is like a huge deal to be, a part of this. Like, especially to like book." Something, and have this be my first voiceover job was like very nerve-wracking, but also fun and exciting. And I got to learn and like, yeah, it was really, really, really cool.
That's awesome. And technically, since well, not only Marvel, but you can technically say everything is owned by Disney now. You're technically part of the Disney universe as well, you might as well say.
I guess so. Yeah, huh?
Yeah,
Crazy.
I know
Well,
it is crazy.
hmm
And
yeah, and that record, this was, pre-pandemic, so we were still doing like ensemble records.
mhm.
And so I remember I went in for my first record and it was like, Gray Delisle, Roger Craig Smith, um, Trevor Duvall, and Phil Lamar was playing my brother, my twin brother, Bashinga. And I was like standing in the record with all of these like iconic voice actors in, we were like all standing in the round with our like voiceover stands and setups and stuff. And it was talk about intimidating. I was so nervous. I was so nervous, but it was so fun. Everybody was so just like great. And like they all knew it was my first voiceover job. So they were, being extra kind and just generous. And yeah, it was really, really amazing. Because I knew Phil Lamar, I had like watched him, growing up as a kid on like Mad TV, and he was like a legend already for me. So like, now being next to him side by side, voicing his twin sister was like incredible.
So it's funny you mentioned that. I went to Chicago yesterday to a convention
Mhm.
at the comic place, and I got to meet Phil Lamar for the first time yesterday.
Oh, nice. Isn't he so nice?
Yeah, here, hang on. I'm gonna bring up the picture for everyone. I haven't looked at this yet. This is a sneak peek at a new picture.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love it. Wow. Amazing. Just the nicest, kindest person. And I also, yeah, and so I got to work with him on Craig of the Creek as well, because he voices Bernard, Craig's older brother. And so, yeah, it's been so nice. I got to, when I first met him, was then, and then like when I started writing on Craig of the Creek, we would like run into each other in records, or when I was voicing on Craig of the Creek, and we would like pass each other in the green room, and I'd be like, "Hey, remember me?"
Pass each other on the creek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just like you. I've never been into comics that much either, or
Okay.
superheroes. So I
Yeah.
haven't seen much of the Marvel universe either. Pretty much the
Uh-huh.
only thing superhero related I've seen of is a little Teen Titans, because that's like the most popular show, that and Teen Titans Go. But the original,
Yeah.
in my opinion, is better, obviously. But anyway,
Okay.
um, yeah, I definitely need to check that show out. I did not know you were in that, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, my character is Bask, Bask.
I'll definitely check that show out. I'm assuming it's on Disney Plus, probably.
Hmm.
It is? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So anyway, moving right along, you were also in, we'll talk about Craig of the Creek since you brought it up. You were a writer on that show,
Mhm.
and it's a really great show. Like,
Cute.
animation's really great. Storylines are really great. I need to watch more of it, but it's definitely another just amazing modern cartoon in a time when sadly the cartoons don't seem to be getting the light of day they deserve, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you voiced what was the name of your character you voiced on there again?
Ren.
Rin, okay.
Yeah.
What was your experience like working on that show?
So Ren was the second character that I booked, second voiceover job that I booked.
Oh, see that's convenient. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, Ren was so sweet. I remember getting the audition. I immediately fell in love with her, and like the voice came very naturally to me for her. And we're very similar in energy. She's got like this intense, chaotic energy that,
The
yes,
glasses.
and wears her little glasses, her goggles. And she's just a super passionate character, scientist, and I immediately connected with her. And I don't know much about science, but I learned a lot actually, like voicing her.
Yeah.
Recording for Craig of the Creek was so fun because I got to be in the booth improvising with Philip Solomon,
Did,
Noel Wells, H. Michael Croner, and then, of course, working with Ben Levin and Matt Burnett and Jeff Trammell, who was the head writer on the show. Got to be with all of them, like in all of the records, and it was super fun.
okay. Let's move right along here. So another show you were in was The Loud House.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I only did one episode of Loud House, but it was fun. That's where I did meet Tara Strong. So people always ask, like, have you ever met Tara Strong? Have you ever, talked to her? All of that. Um, she was, yeah, we did a record together at Nickelodeon, and it was so cool because it's right when she walked in, I was like, whoa, who's this lady? I didn't know who she was, but I was like, she is dressed to the nines. Like she came in like fashionable outfit and like luxury handbag and sat down and I was like, dang, who is this lady? And then when she got in the booth, she was just like zing zing, like they were throwing different characters. They were like, oh, we need a, voice, someone to cover this voice too and this voice too. And she would just like come up with these characters on the spot in that moment. And I had not, seen that before because I was new to voiceover. So I was watching her like, oh, this is the standard. Like, this is how you have to be, apparently, like able to just quick on the spot toss out different distinguishable characters. And I just remembered that moment. She probably doesn't remember me at all, but like, yeah, I remembered that moment. It stuck out to me as like, this is how I want to also be when I'm in the booth. I really admired that about her.
That's awesome. Yeah, Taylor Strong, probably safe to say she's one of the largest voice actors of all time, up there with Tom
Oh,
Kenny
yeah.
or John DiMaggio is one
Hmm.
of the biggest. Yeah. But
Yes, for sure.
yeah. By the way, do you have any, well, obviously, I don't know if you know, but do you know if Taylor Strong will ever come back? Let's say the show is renewed for a second season, New Wish. We're not even
Uh-huh.
on a New Wish yet, but I was going to ask it before I forget. Do you think Taylor Strong will ever come back?
I don't know. We have to see. We have to see where the story goes. I think we're all just really hoping for a season two right now so we
Yeah,
can, continue building out Hazel's world and, building out the characters that we established in season one of A New Wish. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
exactly, exactly. So,
Mhm.
but one other thing about the Loud House, something I noticed in the episode you were in, you were like
Mhm.
playing one of Lynn Loud's friends, and she was voiced by yeah, I gotta get my thing. Voiced by Jessica Ichiko, who is my biggest
Oh, yeah. Yes, your
inspiration.
favorite.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you don't remember meeting her in the booth?
She wasn't there
She
in that
wasn't?
t no, there were only three of us. At that time, they'll schedule us all in different, shifts basically. So sometimes they'll, whoever based on availability, it'll be like whoever can, get booked for that slot. So yeah, there was only three of us in the room at that time,
So
recording.
they like record parts of the episode separately. I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah. Fairly Odd Parents, we recorded in different chunks all the whole season. Everybody came in at different times. None of our records were, ensemble records. I think I recorded with Cosmo and Wanda once in the very beginning. We tried it and we were all virtual, so we were all in different locations, but we were all on the same Zoom link
Okay.
recording. But that was the only time I got to not even physically, virtually do an ensemble record with Cosmo and Wanda. Um, so yeah, it was tricky. We had to get, very creative with scheduling and stuff.
Definitely. So then,
Yeah.
all right,
It
we
all
got,
just gets edited to,
yeah, edited together. So
yeah.
anyway, I got one other show before we get to the big one, okay? So
Oh, okay.
yeah, one other show before we get to the big one. You're also in the
Let's
Tiny
hear it.
Toons reboot.
Tiny Toons. Yeah. I always forget about Tiny
You forget
Toons.
about, so you replaced,
Don't tell anyone.
don't, okay, okay. You replaced,
It just was such a blur. Say that again.
I was gonna say you replaced uh oh my, see now
Press
my
McNeil.
memory, see it's the same thing with me. My memory's getting fuzzy. Um the
Mhm.
original voice of
Tress McNeil.
Tress McNeil, yeah, I was gonna say she was in The Simpsons Futurama. Tress McNeil, amazing voice
Uh-huh.
actress. Original
Yes.
voice. Um, and then you came in and replaced her. How was that replacing, such a big cartoon character? Because Tiny Toons was pretty big.
Yeah, yeah. I grew up watching Tiny Toons when I was a kid. So, booking it was an just a huge shock for me. Um, it happened during the pandemic, so this was 2021, and we were still sort of, on lockdown. And I was also at the time in the middle of just like the busiest time of my life, I would say. I think I was like writing on three different shows at one time, and still, in my home by myself alone during pandemic. It was COVID, and we were still kind of on lockdown. So yeah, I booked it, and I was just shocked. I wasn't even Honestly, I didn't even think that I could book that role because it was such a huge, iconic, like legacy character that I was like, of course they're going to book some like well-known celebrity, for the voice of Babs Bunny or like some, influencer or something, someone who's got tons of experience in voiceover. I just didn't think that there was any chance that I could book that role. And I'm so grateful. And so I feel so fortunate and blessed to have, been able to lend my voice to this character, this iconic character. Um, I, During the audition process, I used a lot of improv, and I got a coach, to coach me through that audition process. And, Robin Reed, she is a voice coach and voice actor herself too, I think. And she was like, "Oh, you have this improv background. Let's see if there's, a couple different places we can find places for you to improv in your audition." And so I was like, "Great, let's do it. Like, I'm game for that." And so we did. We found a couple different areas where I could like improvise. And I think that's what gave me sort of a competitive edge, and what, ultimately got me to book that part is because I really brought a lot of my own, improv background and comedic training to this character, which is what they were really looking for, amping up the comedy and using, comedic actors for these roles. Uh, and so, yeah, I booked it and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm Babs Bunny now. It's like similar with, Marvel. It was like, oh, this is a huge, iconic franchise, and now I get to be a part of it. It's so exciting.
Yeah, so Babs
And like
Bunny,
filling Tress McNeil's shoes,
yeah.
I would say, I very quickly was like, okay, do I try to recreate or do I try to mimic her voice? Do I try to do exactly what she did? So like once I booked it, I started to, rewatch old Tiny Toons episodes, and I was like, okay, here's how she, um does her inflections and like things like that. And then I quickly was like, no, I'm not going to try and sound like Tress. That's going to do this character a disservice. I booked this job for a reason. I'm going to bring all of Ashleigh to this character. And, I have my own background and my own experience and my own, just life that I'm going to put into this character. So, let me just bring me to Babs, who's Ashleigh's version of Babs, and create that for this new generation of kids and for this new iteration of the show.
I absolutely love that. Yes, yes. Do you know why Tress McNeil did not return for the reboot? And same with Buster Bunny. That was Eric Boz, I believe,
Yeah,
the original voice of Buster Bunny was who was it? Again, my mind is blanking out. Charlie Adler, I think, was the original voice, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, Charlie Adler.
Yeah,
hmm Who's great. I love Charlie. Yeah, they want that was a Warner Brothers decision that to use all new fresh voice actors. It was a creative decision on the production side.
yeah. Like I think one of the only returning voice actors was Cree Summer, and you can't replace Cree Summer because she's just too
No
iconic.
way. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's like, yeah. Yeah, creatively, the showrunner Aaron Gibson and Nate Cash, they wanted to do a new version of these tunes. They wanted to follow them to college, and they just really wanted to showcase fresh, new, up and coming talent. So myself, David Arrigo Jr., Tessa Netting, and we went through few different version iterations of Buster actually before we Eric Bauza came in, and yeah, they were very excited to introduce this new talent to the series. So yeah, it was really cool to be a part of.
And you also got Candy Milo, I think, as well.
Yeah. Who I did get to meet her during records, in passing, of course. Like, she's so nice, so kind, so generous. I love when, like, you get to meet these, like, iconic, legendary voice actors and they're so kind and welcoming. She immediately was, like, giving us a hug and was, like, telling us about her experience on the show. Like, it just really bridges, like, I don't know, the gap.
Bridges
It
the gap.
really
Yes.
gives us a lot of, yeah, it really does. And it gives us, a lot of confidence to keep going and to keep having fun in this industry.
Yes. And I have a beautiful story of the community coming together in just a minute because it is time for
Okay.
Hazel went to the city feeling all alone.
Yes.
Okay,
Until
so
a whole life changed with a girl quite strange. Cause in reality, they're her new.
our parents, very our parents.
I love
Oh,
our song.
yes, yes.
I love
Okay, so anyway,
it.
Fairly Odd Parents, let's just
Arms
say
and wings, floaty crowny things.
yes.
Sorry. I'm
Yes.
very fairly average. A new wish for magic I jinx. We had a lot of fun. Sorry, just to tell this story really quickly. We had a lot of, I'll say, fun trying to cram in Hazel's entire life story into, what is it, 30 seconds
Yeah.
of a song. It had to be 30 seconds long. Like the old original was a minute long, the
Ooh.
intro, the theme song. Yeah, and we had to cut ours down to 30 seconds and tell an entire story. And so I remember, like, when we had our show composers, we were trying to write the lyrics for that song, and we were like, "A new wish for magic hijinks." It was like just so many words to cram into that one little moment. A new wish for magic hijinks.
Yes. Yeah. So that's probably a good decision. The theme song for A New Wish was just done spectacularly, in my opinion, because
Thank you.
like you mentioned, you don't want it to be like a show that comes to mind is the 90s cartoon Hammerman, where it just goes on and on. It's like there was a
Yeah,
guy named Hammer
sure.
who danced every night, and it just went on and on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like explaining every step in detail. Might as well add um in the nostalgic critic review he reviewed Hammerman. It's like he went to the store to get himself some milk.
Ah, yes, it's a challenge, like telling the whole entire, backstory and what she's going through and what's gonna happen to her and how she's gonna survive and come out of this
Yeah,
alive. Like, yeah, it's definitely you have to be creative and yeah, get to the point fast.
exactly. So anyway, so when the reboot was first announced, see, I can't
Uh-huh.
talk. When it was first announced, let's just say the Fairly Odd Parents was not in a very good spot. Okay.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's go back in time. The cam was blowing, and we're going
Mm,
back in time. Okay. So season, yes, setting the mood exactly. So
yeah.
season 10 comes out. not very good. They introduced a new character, uh, Chloe, Chloe, who was voiced actually by Carrie Walgreen. Carrie Walgreen is an amazing voice actress. But
Hmm.
by that time in the show's run, it was just past its prime. Like, the writing wasn't as good, the animation was downgraded to Flash, just a lot of poor decisions. And then after that, they made a reboot, which I'm not even going to touch on, but
Okay.
you know what I'm talking about.
I might. Yes.
It's a live action reboot. I can't even remember what it's called, but it was. I'm just gonna come out and say it was so bad
Oh
that
my goodness.
Paramount took it off of Paramount Plus.
That's true. That did happen.
Yes, yes. And one of the funniest things I remember from the first reboot, the live action one, is that there was a cold opening. Each episode had a cold opening, and
Okay.
they didn't get to the theme song till I swear it was like 7 or 15 minutes into the episode.
Oh, oh
So
wow.
that's why when you start the second season, if we get a second season, we just got to pressure Nickelodeon here.
Fingers
Uh,
crossed.
uh,
Yes.
we got to have an episode that has a cold opening of 7 to 15 minutes, and then it's gonna go into the city, feeling all alone.
I don't know what episode you're referring to, but that is hopefully there was a reason behind it,
No, no, literally every episode opened like that, like the cold opening.
Oh,
Yeah, yes,
okay.
seriously.
So was it like a teaser? Maybe they were doing like a teaser, first, and then it would, cut to the theme song
I
and main
I don't
title.
know, but the rest of the episode that played out, like it was just really, really late when the
Um,
episode would start. Like it was so
sure.
bizarre.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Huh, I don't know about that. I did watch a couple episodes just to sort of, uh, know what was going on in the universe, the Fairly Odd Parents universe. I wasn't like a huge Fairly Odd Parent. I didn't grow up with Fairly Odd Parents, I should say.
yeah,
But I was very familiar with the show. I knew, all of the original, the cartoon, all of the characters. And of course, I loved the theme song. I knew Cosmo, Wanda, Timmy, all of that.
yes,
But I hadn't watched Fairly Odder, and so I did watch a couple episodes just to see, what was going on there. And yeah, Lindsay K. Time, our, co-EP and co-story editor, we were like, yeah, okay, good to know, and yeah, it was helpful. It was helpful to see.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Hopeful not how not to make a reboot.
Well, we want to be kind, and uplift the people, the creators behind it. I don't know what, Nickelodeon had asked for. That's the other thing. I don't know what the direction was that they were, what they were trying to do with the story and cause. I think they were just trying something new and something different,
Yeah,
blending the different mediums, live action, along with, was it CG or 2D?
it was.
That
I think it was 2D. Um.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, I think they were trying something new there, and,
yeah,
sometimes you never know what the outcome's going to be or what the response is.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
So anyway, uh, a new wish was announced shortly after. So how did you get involved in the Fairly Odd Parents project? Because you told me you never really seen the original.
Hmm. Basically, I was at the time I was a story editor on at no, I was a story editor at Cartoon Network on a show called Jessica's Big Little World, which was the spin-off show of Craig of the Creek. And it followed Craig's little sister Jessica, and
Yes.
she grows up and tries to become a big kid. And so I was a story editor there. And at the same time, I had kind of been going in for, general meetings and brainstorms at Nickelodeon. So I had been building a rapport there. They knew me as, a comedic actor and writer and
Yes.
voice actor. And so when, Nickelodeon decided they wanted to do a reboot of Fairly Odd Parents, they, sought out different writers and they reached out to Lindsay Katai, and she had participated in a couple different brainstorms, for the show, meaning like she would go in and, just come up with different ideas with different writers about where, we could take this show and where the direction could go, do we want to bring Cosmo and Wanda back? Do we want a new character, a new God kid? Where does this take place? So she was involved in all of those brainstorms, just coming up with like a general concept of what this show could be. And then they landed on the decision to, bring Cosmo and Wanda back and follow a new God kid. And, they knew that Nickelodeon knew that they wanted this new God kid to be completely different from Timmy Turner. And so they, were like, oh, what can we do? Well, if, we'll make her a little girl, maybe we'll make her a person of color. Um, and at that point, Lindsay Katai was like, okay, if that's the direction we're going, we definitely want to bring on, someone who can speak authentically and write authentically to that voice. And so she pitched my name to them. We had, because she and I had worked together on a different show called Wolf Boy and the Everything Factory during the pandemic. So she, we had worked together before, and she was like, "Ooh, I know, a girl who is a writer and a voice actor. I wonder if she'd be interested." So then Nickelodeon came to my manager and they were like, "Hey, we have this project, we're coming up with. Would Ashleigh be interested in helping us, create the story for this new God kid?" And they were like, she has the potential to come on as a co-executive producer, as a co-story editor, as a writer, and potentially voice the main character. And I was like, my manager called and told me that. And I was like, well, really? Like, that's so much. That's a lot. And I'd never, held that many positions before at one time. And so I quickly was like, are they sure? Are they calling the right person? And I was like, yeah, of course I'd be interested. I was like a little hesitant because I was, I'd been building with my Craig of the Creek family. I'd only been, working with Craig of the Creek and Jessica's Big Little World, and we were a big, tight-knit crew and family, almost like family. And so
Mhm.
I was hesitant to leave that, but I was also like, this is such a great opportunity for growth and transformation and to try something new. It was very scary, but it was also really exciting. So I met with the executives at Nickelodeon, and I met with Dave Stone, who was our supervising director, and Lindsay, and all of my meetings were so great, and we had so much fun, and that's how I got the job.
That's awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, a new wish, basically, when I heard about, the news of the reboot coming out,
Mhm.
I watched the trailers and I immediately fell in love with it. So, as you will remember, before the show came out, and anyone who wants to dig through my Instagram can look, I made a piece of fan art,
Yeah. Oh,
and that's how you and me met.
you're an incredible artist. Let's just start there. Yeah, that fan art that you did, like, just really touched my heart on so many different levels, on like a deep level. Um, I immediately loved it, and you started creating more of it too. And it was just like every design you captured of Hazel was so pure and true and spoke to her, ethos. Like you really just captured her energy so beautifully, and I fell in love immediately. And I think, yeah, that's how we connected. I was like, who's this person who's able to, really capture Hazel's essence so beautifully?
Yes.
I think it was like her going like this, one of those first, your first drawings. It was
Yeah.
so sweet.
Because I've actually before the announcement of the show, I never heard of you, but I heard
Mhm.
some of your voiceover, and I'm like, she's very good. She's very energetic in her performances, and like I saw that you were a producer, and I was very excited for the project because
Mhm.
I was hoping this would finally bring some new potential into the Fairly Odd Parents brand after
Yeah.
the show has been declining for so long, and when it came out, it was so good. Like the team behind it, the animation, just everything, just brought new light into the show
Oh, thank you.
of so many people's childhoods, and it's amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for saying that. That's so kind. I think it definitely helped to bring in, fresh perspectives.
Mhm.
And yeah, Lindsay and I, we both didn't grow up with Fairly Odd Parents, but we both come from a background of comedy and sketch and improv. And so, we really just wanted to get back to like the heart of Fairly Odd Parents, and just like, when did people love the show? When did people fall in love with the show, and what made them fall in love with the show? And that's what we wanted to really highlight and focus on for this new iteration, where we're like, well, let's get back to the fun and the magic and the hijinks, and like, let's get back to Cosmo and Wanda being in love, and let's get back to, this, let's really build this new character, that's relatable and, fresh and authentic and new, yes, but also relatable and grounded, and, really going through things that I think kids today can, identify with.
Mhm. Definitely, definitely. That is truly amazing. Some of my favorite episodes include the DMV episode.
Oh, yeah.
The DMV, because that
Department of Magical Violations.
portrays the DMV like, because the DMV is basically the equivalent of hell. You're in line
Exactly.
waiting all day, waiting for
Yeah.
a number to be called, and once it gets called, they're like, "You need to get in line number 17," and it just goes on and on.
And
And then
Hazel loves it.
yes, yes, you get in the DMV at 2, don't leave till 8 o'clock.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Hazel, tedious structure and drab settings is my happy place.
And another
And that
favorite of mine.
episode was written by James the Third, by the way. We love
Okay.
James. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so many talented people. And that's another thing. Like I met so many amazing people from this show. And next I gotta get this episode a shout out. Patty Possum is
Patty
another favorite
Possum,
episode
Party
of
Boy.
mine because that was one of Emily Stockdale's first
Oh,
voiceover roles.
yeah.
And she was in my class. I took my voiceover class. She's
Yeah.
such an amazing person, amazing voice actress. And
Yes.
if she's watching, shout out to her because she is just amazing.
We love her. We love her. That was such a fun episode, and she killed it with the song, even, the friendship song.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, that episode was written by Wilder Smith Simmons, and she killed it. We really wanted to do like a very scary, you know, episode, or what we thought was kind of scary and twisted fun. Um, our fun twisted take on what's the video game? The Where the like anthropomorphic
Five
character.
Nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights at Freddy's, exactly. That was our version of that.
And
Yeah.
I also follow Eric Pay on Instagram, who
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and amazing talented guy.
Mhm.
In one of his posts, he was comparing how he kind of modeled Patty Possum, after Snapchat from Tough Puppy, which is it was
Oh,
really cool to see. Tough Puppy. I don't know if you ever seen that show. That's another
I
book.
haven't. No.
It was a really good show.
Oh,
Very
wow.
underrated show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, let me think. What other episodes stand out to me? Of course, there was the episode where um Proof returned, but now he's voiced by Eric Baza. His name is
Yeah.
different, and he's all grown up.
So yeah, was very exciting to have Perry now all grown up and now voiced by Eric Bauza, who did an incredible job. Yeah, that was so fun. It's so fun to see Perry all grown up now. And the fans went ballistic for it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we were not prepared for that. We had no idea it was going to have the reaction that it did. Um, and I couldn't have even imagined all that took place. Like, yeah, it was just amazing to see people, the fans, like reacting to Perry and seeing them loving. I mean, everybody loved Poof, so obviously, but yeah, I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of what we were able to do with that character.
Yeah, that went viral. I remember that, like on
Yes.
Instagram and TikTok. Like you could not go anywhere without seeing a post about Perry from the Fairly Odd Parents: A New Wish.
I know. I know. And we had to change the name because, the former name was a slur in the UK. And so we all had to adjust to that too. I mean, we were obviously, excited to, imagine what Perry is now like, what Poof is like as an adult. And so, the name change thing was likely going to happen anyways. But yeah, once we've discovered that we couldn't say it because we were going to be, international. Yeah, we were just like, great, that's fine. And I think it works with their character also, anyways, just because, he's trying to establish himself at, identify an identity aside from, his childhood and his babyhood and like, establish himself as his own person outside of Cosmo and Wanda's, uh, 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 outside of Cosmo and Wanda's sort of, parenthood.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, so and then who could forget the chemistry behind my fave, all fave, as we should say,
Yeah.
um, chemistry behind Hazel and um, the Dimmadome.
Oh, Dev.
Dev, yeah, Dev Dimmadome. That's
Yes,
yes, yes,
Dev Dimmadome.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that was really that was another one that I was like we were all kind of like very excited to see the fans react to Dev, I think in the writers' room and when Lindsay and I were coming up with Dev, really all we had to go off of was one episode in the original Fairly Odd Parents, where you see Dale Dimmadome as a child, a kid working in Vicky's lemonade,
yes,
dungeon, underground, and she's, terrible to him and just, treating him awfully like a slave. And that's the only information we really had to go off of for who that character was, for who Dale was. And so that was really fun to come up with, like, who is that character now? Like these kinds of circumstances. What kind of, person would this what person become? Like, who would they become as an adult, having to work under those circumstances and with Doug Dimmadome as their father, And I think there was a really funny interaction between Doug and Dale in that episode too that just spoke volumes, you know? And so that's how we came up with Dale's character. And then, we were like, well, we want Dev to, what kind of character is Dev based on, Dale's fatherhood? And I actually took inspiration from a certain celebrity that I will not name, who is very much in the public eye, who also has a son. And I took inspiration from that sort of dynamic, that father-son dynamic. Um, when thinking about what the dynamic between Dev and Dale would be. And we came up on something very interesting that I think a lot of fans uh, resonated with, and I think in the writers' room when we were coming up with Dev, we actually I think the fans actually found a different reaction to how we in the writers' room were, thinking about Dev. And so it's really been interesting to see um, this kind of passion for Dev and passion for hashtag Devzel. It's been really interesting to see that response from fans. But yeah, Dev and Hazel, their relationship is very, um, innocent and relatable. And yeah, I've been having a lot of fun seeing all of the fan art come out of those two characters and their relationship dynamic.
Devin Hazel, yeah.
What's your take on it?
I think Devin Hazel, so obviously it started out as, um, kind of like the frenemy relationship.
Yes.
And definitely by the end of the show, you can tell that they're growing closer. Like there was the episode where like I think a couple different episodes where Mr. Guzman had them work together on projects and they just grew
Yeah.
closer as they like the for example the one of my favorite another good episode,
Yeah.
the episode with the pizza party where
Oh
Hazel
yeah.
found out he was gluten free and she was like
Yeah.
we can just order gluten free pizza for you and he was like you do that for me.
I know he had never had someone to actually care about him. Oh, oh, so sweet. Yeah. Nia Barbie wrote the episode, the group project episode. She's another one of our incredible writers, and I think she really tapped into, you know, the heart of their friendship in that episode. She did a fantastic job showing the human side of Dev, and why does he act the way that he acts. I think we really got into it there. And it was nice to see it's been nice to see Hazel sort of support Dev in that way and really be a friend for him and, really see him in a way that he hasn't been, seen before.
And another thing,
Family.
something else I wanted to highlight that's kind of funny. So Mr. Guzman is like the normal, like down to earth, nice teacher, and he's voiced by Carlos Alazraqui, who voiced
Yeah.
Taco, of course. And then the principal is voiced
Friend.
by Gray Delisle, who is the crazy one. And in the original, it was reversed, like the principal.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I guess so, huh? Good observation.
yeah, and of course, Mr. Crocker makes a comeback. Vicky makes a comeback, so that was awesome to see as well. Love the fan service.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was always just such a blast getting to see these new characters, these OG characters
Yeah,
come back and voice these new characters, for us. Yeah, Carlos Alazraqui, so fun, so kind. Gray Delisle, incredible, obviously iconic voice actress. And yeah, they were so game to come in and like, voice these new characters, and it's just so like, yeah, it makes me feel very proud to, yeah, just like have been a part of this whole this whole new thinking of the show.
And one more thing, you may remember the fans went crazy over this as well. There
Yeah.
was like the side character who keeps popping up, who is modeled after adult Timmy in the original show.
Oh, sure, yeah. Not Timmy is what we call him.
Yeah, not Timmy. Even though everyone thought from the very beginning he was the bus driver, they thought it
Correct.
was Timmy.
Yeah. Yeah, we just threw that in just because. We were like, we want to just throw in this character as kind of like a, Easter egg that just kind of, you know, because we knew we were going to get 1 million questions from fans about if Timmy was going to return. And we knew that he wasn't going to return in the first season, because we're following Hazel. This is her story. This is the story of Hazel in Philadelphia with Cosmo and Wanda. So we knew we weren't going to bring back Timmy in the first season, but we knew fans were going to ask about if Timmy would return. So that was our attempt at trying to get ahead of fans, to be like, yeah, no, he's not coming, but here he is, just so you could see him. And one of our character designers like thought it would be funny to use adult Timmy's version, of the design for that. So, yeah,
Definitely.
that's what happened there.
Yep. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Best city
Yeah.
in the world.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
So anyway, before we go, I saved this for last. This is my story of the community coming together. And
Yeah.
this is one of my favorite stories, okay?
Okay.
So I flew out to Los
Oh
Angeles.
my God, yes.
Yes, here we go. Here we go. So flew out to Los Angeles for not only for voiceover. I recorded my voiceover demo reel for my class I was doing at the time.
Okay.
But also I was going to SplatCon. Now, if you want to learn more about SplatCon, I would watch the wonderful documentary. I'm going to plug it right here that my good friend Adam made about SplatCon. He did an entire documentary, interviewed a bunch of different people. It was really good, and I
Oh,
highly
nice.
recommend checking it out.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
anyway, I was in Los Angeles. I was originally booked a hotel room at the over here shaking your head. Yep.
I'm having like PTSD.
Yeah. So yeah, booked my stay at the Hilton Hotel because that's where the convention was at. I was
Uh-huh.
on my way to the hotel.
Oh
You
my
texted me
gosh.
saying SplatCon was canceled. I was in the Uber. I'm like, eh? And you're like, yes, they canceled SplatCon on
Uh,
the same day it was supposed to happen. That's how much of an advance we got, ladies and gentlemen. They canceled on the same day it was supposed to happen.
awful. Awful. Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. Yeah.
So this is a great example of the community coming together because not only did you meet up with me for lunch and made sure I was okay because I had to rebook. Did not have any money. I was stranded out there.
Oh
Had
my
to rebook at
God.
some very sketchy Airbnbs. Um,
Yeah.
but also, excuse me, also. Um, Everyone at BlackCon who was attending, they threw a party in North Hollywood, and it was truly amazing. There was so many great people who just had everyone's back, looked after everyone.
Yeah. It was so fun.
Yes, and it ended up being an amazing time.
Yeah, that was crazy. Because that was also my first. it would have been my first like appearance at a convention, doing sign at tabling at a convention, like
Yeah.
signing autographs and all of that stuff. So I was really looking forward to that. And, they were like, oh, we'll provide everything for you. And they were like, oh, can you make sure to do a video promoting, all of that stuff. So I mean, we're talking months of leading up to this, like building the hype and the energy around it and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I, like you, got the text message or not a text message. I was scrolling on Instagram as I was going to my hair appointment for this event. Um, I saw on Instagram that it was had a big, cross red sign in front of it, canceled. And I was like, oh, no way. This is not real. This cannot be real. And sure enough, it was like, I don't know what the caption said, but it was like, yeah, sorry everyone, we've had to cancel. So then I called the hotel because I was supposed to have, they were providing all of this like transportation and hotel stay and all of that stuff. So I called the hotel right away to say, hey, I was just coming in to check in for my hotel room. I was wondering what time check-in was, and they were like, sorry, your room has been canceled. It was never paid for. And I was like, what kind of scam is this? I'm new to all of this. I'm new to really the convention world, like going and appearing at conventions, all of that. I still consider myself a new voice actor, so I'm just learning all of this myself. And so it just was really disappointing to and especially for the fans, like because I had been promoting it and I was like looking forward to meeting new people, meeting people like you for the first time, people who love the show and like were actually excited and, interested in meeting for the first time, like letting them down. I felt so bad about that. I felt like I had misled everything. I felt like I got caught up in this scam, this scheme by these nasty, people who are trying to make a buck off of the backs of artists,
Yeah.
designers, voice actors, fans.
Yeah.
That is like the lowest of the low. So, to do something like that, on a level, on a large scale level, like people flying in from all across the country for this, putting their money involved, booking flights, booking hotels. I had a friend who was like, they were also like selling products and stuff. And so they had bought a whole bunch of, items for their table and all of that. Like, you don't play with people's money like that. You don't do that. So I was, you know, very excited to still be able to connect with at least some folks from, who were going to be appearing. And so, yeah, you were like the main one I was excited to see and meet. And I was like, we have to still meet. Like, there's no way we're going to let this event get in the way of like still making our own human connections, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the funniest things from our luncheon, we're at the restaurant, and I had my, very full bag right there. I had to carry it around with me because, hotel was canceled. So anyway, anyway, I had my very full bag. I had the California flag, and it's like, hi, I'm Gabe, and it like slingshotted across the thing. So shitty to do that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was I mean, yeah, that the whole day was just a blur. Like it was just like I was like rushing to get to you and then getting a table and then you had the Hazel plushie doll. It was like and then we were taking pictures with our sunglasses.
Yeah. It ended
And you were
up
like,
being
I'm
a
gonna
good
go see
time.
the Yeah, what'd you say?
I said it ended up being a good time.
Oh, it was so fun. I'm so glad. And then I got to see you later that night at the party too, which
Yeah.
was also so fun. I'm glad the organizers were able to put that together. 'Cause yeah, I ended up meeting a bunch of people there and taking pictures and like meeting fans there And yeah, some of those people that I met there, we're still connected. And I just did, I did someone else's podcast just last weekend that I had met at that party that night. So I'm glad that not all was lost. I'm glad that the
Yeah.
community, the animation community, and the fans of like Nickelodeon still were able to get together and celebrate.
Yeah, definitely. So,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna wrap it up here. But before we end this, I just wanted to say, obviously, that with animation, kind of in a hard place right now,
Yeah.
you are by far one of the greatest gifts in the animation industry, the modern animation industry, because you are putting just new talent and new work into this industry, I think, like just new creative projects like Craig of the Creek we talked about and the new Fairly Odd Parents and uh Jessica's
Big
Big,
Little World.
Big Little World, yep. And it's just it's all just so great to see this creative work in an industry that sadly
Oh my
seems like it just wants to die, or Hollywood
God.
at least is trying to kill it anyway. But
Right, exactly. We want to live, but it's like the powers that be don't know what to do with us.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
But yeah, your energy is just amazing, and I'm so thankful to have you as a friend.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Gabe. And this, like you saying that is really what it's about, like
Yeah,
that's what all of this is, bringing people together. And so I'm grateful for you being such a kind, thoughtful, generous person and really just like you didn't have to even say what you just said just now, but even that is like, thank you for saying that. I truly appreciate it because I think I never know what to expect with fans.
oh
And
yeah,
so you are like one of the fans that is like, I'm so grateful for you. It's such a genuine, friendship that has developed out of like all of this. Like, where do you live again?
Indiana, South
In
Bend,
Indiana?
Indiana.
Yeah, you're in Indiana, I'm in Los Angeles, and like, I mean, we talk often, I feel like on Instagram, on socials, and all of that, and like even just being exposed to your artwork. Um, and yeah, it's just I feel very, very grateful to have you as a friend.
Definitely. All
Yeah,
right. Well, it was great talking to you. Thank you for taking the time, Ashley.
thank
And
you.
we will go ahead and end it. Hope you all enjoyed this episode of Exceptionally Animated. Be sure to
Woo!
subscribe if you want to get more exceptional.
Woo!
All right.